Good evening, everyone. We are happy to welcome you all for the third version of the CYBER T20 series. And today we are just going to have the first match. The whole of the series is compacted with 10 matches, going to have 10 experts from industry, typically with cybersecurity and cyber forensics, who are going to share their experiences, their use cases in a short crisp time of 20 plus 20, 40 minutes, and followed by a 20 minutes of quiz. That's how we named it as CYBER T20. So we'll start with an introduction about our esteemed guest, the keynote speaker for the whole of the series, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Santosh Katsare sir. He's the Vice President of Digital Forensic and Incident Response from ESEC Fort, and he's an esteemed Indian Army veteran, ex-certain member. He is also the core of cybersecurity expert and the whole of the thing. He has been a mentor for most of our thing who have been a part of this. And currently, sir is serving as a vice president, that is DFIR, Digital Forensic and Incident Response in ESEC Fort Technologies. Before that, he have been a part of cybersecurity and DFIR in Indian Army full time for the past 22 years. And he have been a scientist in CERTIN, Ministry of IT. And he have been a cybersecurity instructor for quite a good number of organizations. Way back, he started his education in Pune University around 2000. And then he completed his cyber forensic courses in 2014 and advanced networking courses in 2010 from IIT Kharagpur, and the list goes on. It's going to be an extensive list. So we just welcome you, sir, for the CYBER T20 for the keynote speaker. The stage is up to you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, you are muted.
Thank you, Ashok. I'm just sharing my screen. If someone can just confirm if you can see the screen. Okay.
Yes, sir, the screen is visible.
Okay, wonderful. So firstly, it's an honor to be, interacting with all of you students, academia professionals, and especially in a unique kind of a, you can say, situation where, everyone after COVID, we are still virtual, right? And this virtual environment has actually brought us, much closer even after the COVID, because we are still interacting on this virtual platform. Today, I've been asked to discuss, or you can say speak to you about one important topic when it comes to smart cities and smart cities forensics. So what I'll try to do is I will try to firstly make it a very simple session so that you understand the concepts and basically what we are trying to achieve at the end of this session. What I can do is I'll go through this first presentation and then I'll tell you a case study. And after that, as it's planned, you'll have a quiz session, which Ashok just told you. Before you understand smart cities, all of you know that India announced say 2 years back that we'll go to build say 100 smart cities in India, right? So when you speak of smart cities, means everything is smart, means everything is connected. Everything is connected via the network, via the cloud, via the internet or intranet for that matter. Now, when you say everything is connected, what does it mean? Firstly, the smallest component of any smart city is the IoT device. IoT is Internet of Things. Everyone knows that these are devices which are very small in nature. Nowadays, even if you buy a, say for example, a PLC, that is also forms a part of a IoT device. PLC is programmable logic controller. Or if you say you buy nowadays, even the devices which come such as any IP connected devices, they are also IoT devices. So let's understand what IoT is basically. If you see a small, let's start from a school, right? If you have a school and if it's an IoT enabled school, if you want to say it's an IoT enabled school, we are just taking a small neighborhood kind of a scenario. Then what do you expect to have? On the bigger scale, let's think on the bigger scale. Like for example, you have classrooms, right? Classroom will have say surveillance cameras. They'll be a part of a smart environment. Then you may have sensors like entrances to the schools, which will have say biometric locks or some kind of ACLs which is there. Then you may have, say, for example, in a school where you can say the school buses come, there may be sensors for the parking lots, which parking lot is full, which parking lot is not full, especially people or students who are from the metropolitan cities, especially Delhi and all. This is already implemented. If you go to parking lots, it will tell you beforehand which parking lot is full and where you can go and park your vehicles. Then if you go into the classroom, yeah, into the classroom, you have smart boards. Okay, you have smart, you can say, devices like printers. Even nowadays, gadgets such as tablets are being given to students where they can study. Digital classroom, digital whiteboards, and smartphones and smart devices are being used for connecting to the, you can say, the network, and in turn to the teacher who is imparting you the knowledge. So what I'm trying to say here is that even in a small scenario of a, you can say, a school within a smart city will involve so many devices and so many technologies that you will have to actually, think and implement in such a way that they are secured. Right. So with this as IoT, if you go ahead, let's think about the say connected devices in the Internet of Things. This slide may be a bit complex, but I will just try to take your attention to say one of the segments. Like you, let's take to the, if you see on the left hand side, there's a segment in purple called as consumer and home, right? A sector. Now, when we spoke about a school, similarly, there'll be a say a home or a person consumer like you and me. So, what when we'll say ki, okay, IoT, it will be connected, right? What are the IoT devices in it? So within that small sector, if we say for infrastructure, infrastructure means a house or something like that. So what all can be connected? For example, you have say network access, you have wiring, you can do energy management within that infrastructure, right? Secondly, if you take the second part, awareness and security, right? So you have so many say alarm systems. You have fire alarm systems. You have say power protection systems. You have some kind of environmental control systems. And if you go below down, this was the means what will be the devices, because devices are very important. Now, when our topic is about forensics, right? So when we say forensics, most important for us is the device which has evidentiary value, which has a evidence, which can be, which where you can pinpoint a particular incident happened, or it was the source of, you can say, a incident from it originated. So if you see within that same consumer and home segment, you will have digital power, digital cameras, CCTVs, you can say computers, you will have your laptops, you have access points, you will have smart meters, you will have your lights. So everything and anything which is digital in nature will get connected. Similarly, this was just a small space which we discussed, right? But a city will not only require, say, infra or you can say something related to your house. There'll be many other things. There'll be industries. There will be, say, some health systems in place. There'll be governance in place. There'll be transportation. There'll be retail. So in all, if you see, it is going to be a very big jargon. And how we are going to address the jargon and how it is being implemented. Yes, there are few cities which have already gone into that mode of smart cities, but what I would like to tell you here, they are not yet fully developed into a smart city. Once they are fully developed into a smart city, it will be a very complex thing, and you will require a lot of things to monitor and keep check of these particular things. Going ahead, okay. When we speak of IoT device, let's come to the smallest component, right? It's a IoT device, anything IoT device, as I said, is Zor, it can be a CCTV or a PLC. For example, even a traffic light, which controls, it has a PLC, it is a programmable logic controller. So you can consider that as a IoT device, or you can say any other thing which you can assume, which has any sensor, even a thermometer for that matter, right? If it is passing some information in digital nature, it is an IoT device. So it has memory, it has hardware, right? So your evidence, what you will be looking for when you're gathering you can say gathering evidence in an IoT device, it will be from the memory, and everything will not be stored because IoT device has a limitation of a very small memory. Okay, so you will have a network zone where you will have other security devices implemented. Take a house also. Even if you have a house, all the devices, your TVs, your fridges, your sensors of your doors and CCTVs, they'll be, even if they're sending something to the cloud where that particular thing is being stored, it will still have some network element, you can say security devices. So in any case, you'll have some firewall, maybe it will be a host based or a network based firewalls. You will have some other devices which I mentioned. And the third thing is where your evidence or your, for example, if you are doing some video recording, the storage will be on the cloud. So who comes your evidence where it will be on the cloud, and you'll require the access of the or the support of the service providers of which particular cloud which is used, either if it's a public cloud or a private cloud. So these things will be very important when it comes to IoT evidence. Now, if let us understand, every one of us know that there is something called as digital forensics, right? But there's a difference between when you will do forensics in the IoT space as such. In digital forensics, you are doing, you can say hard drives, or you can say storage media or mobile network forensics. In IoT, you will be actually doing forensics of sensors, some applications, some very complex systems like hearing aids and so on and so forth. If it's a this. And next point, if you see how will you preserve it, right? Because there's one more issue, for preservance and for integrity in network, you use write blockers, you use some standard softwares which are available. But when it comes to IoT devices, you will find that they are proprietary in nature. So the hardware and software of IoT devices will have a proprietary software. Simple, before going to IoT, nowadays you have solid state devices, right? They themselves have the proprietary compression and encryption technique. So the real world forensic solution may not be able to be applied in totality when we'll go to do forensic related to IoT. Okay. Now, when it comes to analysis, we actually are in the normal. We are based on means we use theories. We are using IT. We are using, you can say, high-end forensic workstations. But when it comes to IoT as such, we'll have to rely on physical and mechanical nature of things. Like if you say you have a sensor which is detecting a pressure. Okay, then you have a if you have a another sensor which is showing you, giving you some mechanical kind of a it is sensing some kind of a mechanical kind of a output and giving you a digital format. So these things are going to change, and this will require a total different approach. So once one more important thing is that you have to actually sensors of within the car surveillance or the cloud. There'll be a lot of issues related to how the workflow will be, how it will be collected remotely or not, because you'll not have access to the crime scene. Okay, so if say for example a factory is there which is IoT enabled, so you may not have access to it if it's say some CII, critical information infrastructure. It may be a railway system or a nuclear plant or something like that, which may be critical. You may not get access to it. So how are you going to carry out forensics within the limited zone, or whether you'll go for a remote kind of a scenario? Jurisdiction will be a big issue. That's why there are a lot of laws which are being framed in a country, and maybe the data protection law may come in and they may address, plus the IT Act, which is also getting revised. We may have a different IT Act henceforth to address this particular thing. Now coming on to the challenges as such when it comes to IoT devices is the data location. As I said, that the data can be in the device, it can be in the network, it can be in the cloud. Regulations, there are no, you can say, international regulations. So how are we going to address that particular issue? Memory, as I said, limited memory, it gets overwritten. I'll give a simple example. Suppose there is a traffic light and it is compromised, and all the traffic lights at a particular junction go red, and accidents takes place, right? This is a very perfect scenario of a, you can say, a smart city kind of a scenario where this might probability is there to happen. But because of the limited memory which these particular, you can say, mechanisms hold, like in this case a traffic light, and if you're not able to collect that evidence in time, there's a chances of the data may be overwritten, because in most of the cases it gets overwritten unless and until it is connected to the cloud. In maybe in the smart city scenario, everything will be connected to the cloud, but what all will be connected, that is important. Now coming on to data sources you should consider in an investigation for IoT. Why am I speaking more about IoT? Because these will be a basic components when it comes to smart cities, right? In a IoT devices, if you see their chips, you can see you have the firmware which can be attacked, the data, the actual data which can get compromised. In the network, you can say net flow devices, you will have, you can say the connections which are being made, they become your evidentiary value. Then there are other artifacts in the cloud. You'll have the storage kind of whatever is stored, whatever is at rest, everything will be in the cloud kind of a scenario. So this is what the IoT scenario will look like. Now coming on to cloud, because everything will at the end of the day will go to the cloud, right? Or it will go to maybe a private cloud also. You can have a private cloud also, but it may go there. Right. So here also again the same issue is regarding evidence is regarding it will rely on the device, network, server or storage. Okay. So server or storage is the cloud part. So mostly everything will be in the cloud. Now how do we do the forensic data collection, right? And can the static or live forensics toolkits be used? That is a very important question which will raise. And secondly, again, the evidence segregation. For maybe the people who are not into forensics may not able to understand this, what I'm trying to say. But to make them understand, I would like to tell you that everything, like when you get connected, right? For example, in a house also you have, say, you have an access point, and through the access point you connect your laptop, you connect your mobile, you'll connect your, even if your Alexa, you'll connect your CCTV. So that is a small case scenario. That's why I gave you an example of a school. And in that case, if you say some incident happens, what do we do in a normal case scenario? We get seize or we get hold of the access point and we get hold of the devices. But in IoT scenario or in a smart city scenario, unless until they are perfectly integrated, it may be a you can say challenging task. Again, like in smart cities, you can say the jurisdiction of the, you can say cloud. For example, now you are using, say, mailing system, any mailing system. Do you know where the servers are, or where your data is, or which part of the continent your data is? No, because it's in the cloud, and cloud they maybe have replica of clouds all across the globe, not more than one place, right? And multi-tenancy means it's like an instance, like you create an instance and you can, and means everyone can use that instance. So that is multi-tenancy. Then of course we'll not get into the service agreement as part of it, but you should understand that the cloud also is a it's a big thing, or when it comes to forensics. Nowadays also when we do cloud related forensics, we do face a lot of problems if the cloud is not located or in our country itself, because no one supports and the laws of that particular country come into play. Now coming on to this, which I have mentioned, legal issues are there, and I just mentioned about the provider cooperation, whether it's a ISP or any kind of service provider or a cloud service provider, if it is located not within our boundaries, so it becomes an issue. Next, one important component which will be there in smart city will be the drones, because drones will play very important roles which will be used for service delivery, any kind of service delivery. Just imagine a pizza delivery being done by drone, or say some Amazon delivery or some kind of postal delivery being done by drone, and they'll be used for surveillance also if what's happening on the streets. So this is going to be a very important factor when it comes to drone. Now, when you say drone, which is again, we spoke of IoT. Now I'm speaking of a drone. In that, what happens is that where all can I find my evidence? Okay. Now, if you see, possible evidence may include a ground station. Ground station may have or desktop or some kind of this, any IT resources. Then you may have flight control board, which will have some you can say data or evidence. Then you'll have the speed controller or the receiver unit, trans receiver unit. Also, if you see, I have done analysis on most of the drones. Most of the drones, means some drones store the data and some drones don't store it, they stream it to the cloud or something like that. So depending on the type of drones used, drone forensics will play a very important role when it comes to smart cities. It's not only drone forensics, but I'm saying drone forensics will play one of the important roles, because this will be a key element when it comes to smart cities as such. So every component you should know what will be the, you can say, where will be the data and what will be its evidentiary value and from where you can retrieve that data. So that brings us to another question. Okay, cloud forensics we have spoken. I'll just go ahead of this. I've just mentioned a few clouds that I'll speak later. Right. So this is one thing. Now coming on to, although deepfakes may not be that related to the smart city environment, but I've just mentioned it because what happens is here there'll be a lot of exchange of, you can say, information, data, and all. Right. So if you have seen some few English movies, you see when there's socks or knocks, you find that even in one of the Hindi movies also they showed that you have freeze the camera and camera is showing something. So it will not fall in the deepfake category, but something like it is like a very fake thing which is happening. So this things also is a part of that. Now coming on to the smart city, we have spoke about IoT few devices. Now smart city we just said okay, what we'll have a gateway. Everything will have a gateway, right? So and gateway and all gateways will be internally connected to say cloud services, smart homes, building infra. We spoke about communications, even citizens, smart lights. So this is a very basic, you can say, this about smart city. But now coming on to the different diagram, you see there will be something called as, we have LAN, WAN, MAN, we speak. Now there's something called as NAN, neighborhood area network, which will be every house will be connected to each other. Like if you see in the enlarged portion, you will have a smart meter, you will have a renewable energy wireless gateway. Now for simple thing, I'll tell you, simple thing I would like to tell you here, that when you actually see the any smart meter updation as such, okay, so how will that updation take place? Okay, so updation, any smart device uses updation will take from one meter to other meter, right? So if say one particular device is compromised, there is a strong possibility that all devices get compromised. So if the devices are compromised, assuming that devices get compromised or they have been hacked into, then how do we carry out forensics? Because in this case, again, every meter, the source of the, you can say, the incident or source of the this you don't know. Okay. Now coming on to this, I've just mentioned in a different way. Let's come on to a most important slide which I want to discuss today. Now, if you see this slide is a very important slide. It gives you a lot of important things. Okay. See, it says key the smart grids. See, so what are the security threats? If I take a smart grid, we spoke about this, say electricity grid, or we can speak of a smart meter is just part of electricity grid, but you can say some renewable energy grid. So the threats are the device itself. The threats are the software protocols, right? The data sources, as we mentioned, there may be a lot of communication gateways, smart meters, ICS systems, sensors. Sensors will be most important. But see the fourth column, that is forensic data. See, there will be so many connection logs. You'll have so many logs. You'll have system logs. You can say network logs. You'll have connection logs. So this is a huge task for an investigator point of view. And there's a lot of challenges because you'll have a lot of large volume of data privacy issue will be there, preservation cost will be there, and so on and so forth. Let's take a small example of, say, in between is this, if you go to IoT sensors as such, right? IoT sensors we just discussed. So let's take that particular part of it. Now maintaining confidentiality of data is a security threat there. Secure communications. All the devices have to communicate with each other securely. Yeah, that is a security threat. Someone can exploit that. Data storage. at rest. We said it may be in the cloud or it may be in a server. Mostly it will be in the cloud. And remote exploitation. Sources are smart meters. Smart meters, there are a lot of proof of concept which have been showed where smart meters can be compromised. Health systems can be compromised. Traffic systems can be compromised. Okay, and so that leads to our forensic element. So forensics is that key. Okay, you will require a lot of. Firstly, you will require the asset management. When I say asset management, what I'm trying to tell you here is that what all devices are connected in your smart city environment. And we started with a smart school, if you remember. So, or a smart house. So, and if you see, there will be millions of such houses, or you can say hundreds of schools and hundreds of, you can say, other establishments or entity which will be smart in nature, and then internally they'll be connected. How we said how will be they connected? I give you example of say neighborhood, neighborhood where smart meters will be connected to each other. Okay, in a locality because there the electricity has to be provided or something like that. So if you see, when it comes to forensics of smart cities, we have to gear up. And this is an opportunity for all of us who in this domain to actually, work, research and find solutions where you can give it to this in a smart city environment. So if this, it's a wonderful paper. I've just mentioned it in the end of the slide. If you read this paper, it's a 2017 paper, and there are many other papers which I've written. I've also written few articles on say industry, Internet of Things. When an industry in the smart city will be IIoT enabled, that means it will be everything from you can say supply chain to the mechanical part to the delivery part, everything will be automated, and everything will have robots, they will have AI ML technology implemented. So how we as forensic analysts will be able to handle a situation if an incident happens? So this is what we have to really think and start. You, especially people who are in colleges or doing research or who are into that particular industry, they should understand this and try to start making framework solutions, policies, and also get things in place. Firstly, as I said, the asset management part. So challenges in a smart city, are the logs or memory dumps available for recovery? That is a question. Where it is stored, as I mentioned, cloud or you can say storage, internal storage. Principles of forensic investigation can then be applied in toto, means everything? I don't think so. So we'll have to have our own principles when it comes to forensics. How will you image IoT devices? So that is you just ask this question to yourself and try to find an answer. So what will be the readiness we speak about, say when forensic readiness, when you go to a normal IT infrastructure? In this case, how will we check the readiness or forensic readiness of a smart city or smart neighborhood environment? So these things are going to be a challenge for us in the near future. But saying that, let me tell you that a lot of work is going on. A lot of, you can say, people are working on it, especially the industries are working on it. And but there's a lot of scope to do a lot of research and a lot of development in this particular field. So intentionally, I know it is a heavy topic, but I told Ashok that I will speak on this because at least it will you will start scratching your minds and try to think over this. Yes, this is the future, or this is already come in few places, and it will be you can say the new normal in the future. So this is what I wanted to say about smart city forensics. Anything more I can connect one to one. I'm already available on a lot of platforms and personally on phone also. Now coming to a case study which I want to mention here. All of us have heard about the Colonial Pipeline case study. If not, you can just Google it out. I don't have slides for this, but I will discuss this case study. Now, this is a case study. It's a Colonial Pipeline is a very big you can say FOL company, or the company which distributes fuel over in one of the major countries. That's the USA, and it provides fuel to around a geographical area of say around 9,000 kilometers. Right. So every petrol station or every every gasoline or petrol, diesel or any kind of fuel is provided by this company. Somewhere 1 year back, there was a ransomware attack which took place in this company, and they had to put their systems offline. Now all the systems were connected, all the devices were connected, right? So they had to put their systems offline. Now and the systems were offline for more than 1 week, and this led to a lot of crisis in which it affected the normal human being and even the, you can say, economy, because prices went high. And secondly, a normal person, there were a lot of hoarding, pilferage, everything was happening regarding this. So how did this happen? Now, due to COVID, this particular employees were working from home. And first, let's understand the network. We have a normal, in your college or in a company, you have a network. We call it an enterprise network. We all of us know that we have a router, we have firewalls, we have switches, we have servers, we have something green zone, red zone, orange zone, or we call that key, whatever you may be calling it. But these are the nomenclatures which are being used. And that is what we know. But when it comes to ICS, industrial control systems, or we can say companies like FOL or nuclear power plants or some other critical infrastructure, railway system or some other electrical grids and all. So there's one more different network, which is a segregated network, we called it, and which is called the ICS network or the OT network, operational technology network. So in this company also there was an enterprise network which was which I just mentioned, and there was an OT network which was segregated or isolated in some form. It can't be totally isolated because of course the sensors have to send the inputs or data to the IT network so that it becomes in the human readable form, or you get it on your screen, or you get it in some other dashboard. But this particular network was compromised. Now, how did it happen? Because now, how did it happen? Because employees were working from home in COVID. They were using say VPNs, which credentials were readily available on the dark or deep web. So there was an identity theft, or because the credentials were available, so you can call it as identity theft. And second, next it was that particular, you can say, the VPNs which were used, they were not commercial grade. And from this they entered the enterprise network, that is the IT network, and they were able to go to the extent to compromising the OT network also. Now, there was an investigation which took place. Forensics played a very important role in this play. If you read this case study, it's first of its kind of a case wherein a seizure warrant was issued on a crypto asset or crypto address. Right. Now, when this once this ransomware attack took place, of course, ransom was paid, but the ransom was recovered also because proper forensics was carried out. The enterprise network, they were able to identify who the attacker were depending on the. You can say if you know about APTs, they have the signatures, right? Any hacker group carrying out attack, they have the signatures or the modus operandi. So from this, I'm not naming them intentionally because it's not right for me to name any thing. So they were able to home down, and you'll be surprised because of the forensic evidence and forensics of say crypto exchanges, and you can say crypto analysis. They were able to recover 80% of the ransom paid. So this is how forensics plays an important role, and this is how it is going to help us when the smart city environment comes in. This is just a small example of a small of a, you can say, entity which had some coverage of us. So like this, thousands and thousands of entities will be connected, and so you'll get numerous case studies on this particular kind of environment, and not only case studies, there will be live scenarios which you'll be handling. So just imagine how many professionals, how many resources, which technologies will be required for handling this kind of incidents in a smart city environment. So today's talk was just to open your minds and make you think on this particular topic. Although it is for few people who are not, as I mentioned, not into this field, but at least they can, what the takeaway from them for them will be ki, whatever technology they are studying, how it can be implemented from the security angle in the smart city environment. So I'll rest. Yes, I've already taken my 40 minutes, which I was given to me, 39 minutes precisely. And now I am over to you, Ashok.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your inspirational session. So now it is open for the participants. If you have any questions, queries, you can put in the chat box.
Yeah, please put in the chat box. It will be easy for me also.
Yeah, it will be easy. Like, or else you can just raise your hand. We'll unmute you also. Because as said, like this IoT smart cities are going to be the near future. Even if we say like we don't want, like nowadays the meters are getting digitized, so everything is going to be online. So you say like roughly around 2 years, 2025, all the smart cities will be fully powered. And there's a huge demand for cybersecurity professionals. Right? I know Sir and the whole team, like based upon them things, we got inspired like long ago, and then we started career in cybersecurity. So we want many of you to be cybersecurity professionals after 2 years.
Yes, in fact, even what I would like to say here, ki all colleges and academia should have say center of excellences, or they should make some labs for smart cities also in their environment to teach the students how to means how to understand basically how the smart city works and how you can say some concepts can be implemented, right? So this is very important for the academy as such, and even the syllabus has to be revised. Yes, any
Yes,
questions?
sir. Yes, sir. As rightly said, like many of the education institution current day, like they're just gearing up with these new courses.
Yeah. So what I have done is I've written a book on careers in cybersecurity, and this there it is available on Flipkart, Amazon, Shakespeare. It's just been launched. So anyone might want to make means want to know what all the options are there in career options are there. Although Ashok has already put there's a digital forensic journal which is a publication, but other than that, any other professionals who are looking for careers into say into cybersecurity as such, right? There are a lot many careers which we have discussed in this particular book as such, which has just been launched. It is not even 1 week for this particular thing which has been launched. So you can just go through that.
Yes, sir. So as you said, like forensic is new to our participants. Most of them are newbies from colleges, and
Okay.
forensic and smart city is going to be brand new for them. So obviously,
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
have any queries, like we'll just make it offline. We'll just accumulate the queries from the participants in a form, and we'll forward it to you, sir.
Yes, yes. But the means it's really great, and please connect to me and on LinkedIn or anything which you require. I've just posted a book. You, if you see, there it will cover all your careers, everything in cyber domain. And secondly, it's these such forums are should be interactive. So even if you have some very basic question, you should ask. Even if you ask me what is forensics, I will try to answer that particular question. Right. So, anyways, all the best. Take care, and do let me know if anything from my side.
Yes, sir. Fine.
So
So
what is the next thing?
yes, sir. So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your inspiring talk. So next we'll enable the questionnaires. Just a minute.
So I can leave, right?